Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. So here we are, it's the third video in 3 days. We're probably both sick of this shit, but hey, for reasons that everyone's favorite YouTube couple has covered, I literally cannot stop. This has been a pretty damn big week. There's been a lot of pretty cool stuff to cover on the beta, and on that topic, do remember that my beta key giveaway is currently running. It ends midnight Sunday, Central European Standard Time, which is Euro server time, and yeah, hit up the description for more on that. First, we've got to cover the best mount in World of Warcraft, potentially. I mean, I think it's fair enough of a label considering that it has a literal auction house on it. So yeah, the mighty Caravan Brontosaur costs a tidy 5 million gold, or 4.5 million gold once you've got the Exalted discount, and having a auction house on it's super interesting, because if you've already got a portable mailbox, then this mount is essentially the most efficient way to do auction housing, well, really, that there is. And even if you're back in town, assuming your auction house alt is level 20, you can just park this thing up beside a mailbox. And for the auction house players, this is something that's actually really big, because typically you kind of want to be a little bit away from the big crowded cities, and this mount gives you the ability to do a lot of auctioning with almost zero travel time, especially if you've got access to a portable bank as well. That said, I do find it pretty funny that one of the largest mounts ever in the game is going to be parked on top of a mailbox. Can't see that being annoying at all. Now, for me, this is a big gold making gold a hit, and for that I'm really glad that it's in the game. It seems expensive, but is it really? Well, a while back, I calculated gold inflation over time, and I used the price of third-party gold, and I calculated how much it would cost to purchase Epic Flying using US dollars. So I worked out that Epic Flying, which cost 5,000 gold, equal 335 USD September 2007, and 110 USD September 2008, because gold was getting cheaper. Well, this Brontosaurus mount costs 5 million baseline. A single WoW token is 206k in the US, so a Brontosaurus costs about 24.2 WoW tokens, or $484, meaning that it's not too dissimilar to the price of Epic Flying at the time of its release. Next up, we've got some really cool animations to show off. This is really awesome for the hunters. We finally have idle animations that work for our various different weapon types. And really, it's touches like this that just add a layer of polish to the game. Now, of course, I main a monk, which means that, I hope the really cool Brewmaster staff idle animation persists in BFA. Now, on that point, it's worth bringing up something that I've wanted to show you for quite a while from the beta, and that's that Battle for Azeroth has a bunch of what I'm calling immersive NPC idle animations. So it's just simple stuff like NPCs leaning on a wall, carrying things about the place, and what it means is that when you look at, say, a crowd scene in a busy city like Borealis, it all feels a lot less artificial. It's kind of, it's an MMO version of the attention to detail that you would see in a more cinematic game, I suppose. We also do have a bunch of new spell animations, so let's cut to a preview. And with all that covered, it's Yril time. Spoilers, of course. She has really turned out to be a bit of a bad egg. A new batch of datamine dialogue has confirmed she is the High Exarch of the Light and the speaker for the Naru. Basically, Caesar Drenai, Battle Pope. And she really is committed to it. Yril appears near the end of the Mag'har Orc recruitment scenario, and that's where she meets Grommash again after a very long time. She gives him one chance to convert, and when he doesn't, she kills him. Grommash gives his life to cover the escape of the remaining Mag'har, and really the Draenor lore is just a bit crazy. Grommash turning from villain to hero nearly instantly was really odd back in the day, and while it has been 35 years from a player perspective, Yril is pretty much flipped on a dime, and it's the sort of thing where doing time skips is hard. I mean, I'm looking at you, Desperate Housewives, you did 5 years and you found that challenging. And here they are doing 35 in WoW, and yeah, it just feels a bit strange and jarring. But of course, Yrel's actions are in line with what Xera would do, and the Lightforged Draenei were followers of Xera, which means that you gotta wonder, will they bring Yrel, whatever, in as a Lightforged character, or will they maybe just kill her off, because they seem to be killing off quite a lot of the original Draenor crew. I suppose it all does say interesting stuff about the Naru, especially when you consider what's been going on at Netherlight Temple during Legion, the new Naru there, and of course the character who got Lightforged on Thursday's video. Overall, I do think the Naru probably do have really good intentions, but that they're wrong when it comes to their means. In the real world, it's pretty much always borne out that restriction of freedom in the name of some sort of greater good, it's a really bad idea. It just doesn't work. It doesn't take into account the nature of individuals, even if the stated goals are noble. So the Naru have these noble goals, but they're sort of blinded by their devotion to that cause, as are their followers. And this causes them to be weak. And one of the core points of Modern World of Warcraft, and I know that got a little bit political almost there, but one of the core points of Modern WoW has been that the disagreements between members of the factions and the factions themselves have made us all stronger. The Alliance is strong because of the Horde is strong because of the Alliance. Look back at the MoP lore that was surrounding that.
Living with the Mantid for 10,000 years has made us both strong. So it is with your Alliance and your Horde. They are not strong despite one another. They are strong because of one another. You mistake your greatest strength for weakness. Do you see this?
It's really supposed to be that this is a unique set of conditions that has allowed us to stand against threats that would have annihilated any other world. Basically, our differences are making us stronger in the long run, our fights are making us stronger, and a force like the Naru homogenizing all of us in the process would make us weaker and set us up for defeat. At least I think that is Blizzard's broad philosophical line that they're taking, especially when you give what Illidan said in patch 7.3. Okay, let's talk about reputations in Battle for Azeroth. So we have the usual Legion-like setup, okay, where you've got reps and the reps are tied to world quests. But there's a slight difference actually. When I was looking through the rewards, what did I find? Well, there's 340 epics at Revered and 355 epics at Exalted, with 355 being equal to normal raid gear. Now this is interesting because it flat out is styled like a traditional deterministic reward, a bit like the rep vendors of Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm. And that means that for players who are doing world content, they kind of have this to supplement their gearing. It gives you something to work towards. Will it matter for the big high-end raiders? No, but I think it's good for everyone else. Now another interesting thing is how many crafting recipes were on these. Now it was mostly just the higher ranks, so I don't think we'll have a MoP-like problem of too much being gated behind the reps. Plus, I mean, the main issue with MoP was more that reps were gated behind other reps, but broadly, we seem to be seeing quite a lot less professional quests, and then more recipes on vendors, so it seems like they're toning down on the Legion sort of quest-heavy model, which I think is good. Legion was really just a bit too much for me, but that said, I don't particularly feel like grinding reps on like my alchemy ult. Next, let's talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 4, the third follow-up to the game that way back in the day my physics teacher rather embarrassingly called Modern Black Cops. She got very confused. Now, Black Ops 4 is going to be available exclusively in Battle.net, just like with Destiny, and honestly, you know, I don't really feel much about it. Actually, some of the game looks a bit more interesting. Their Zombies mode is set around a team of accidental time travelers. Seems pretty cool, there's Roman stuff going on. But anyway, it seems to have had some up in arms. Of course, it's not a Blizzard game, it's not really well targeted towards the core Blizzard audience, and it will have the effect of bumping up WoW token prices, but I'd imagine quite a bit less than Destiny 2. I think owners of WoW Gold, on average, are going to be a lot more likely to check out Destiny 2, a loot shooter, than a more traditional shooter like Call of Duty, so yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the COD Blops 4 thing. So let's swiftly move on to our own Warmode in Battle for Azeroth. Just a few points on this. So a new item has been added that will dismount flying players from a massive range. To me, it's pretty interesting. It seems to be getting around the traditional world PvP problem of just, well, you fly away and there's no risk. Then in a vaguely related thing, I was running around the beta with War Mode enabled and I did find a loot crate and had this massive beam of light, and it was also marked on the zone map. So we're pretty much dealing, you know, once this is on like populated servers, we'll be dealing with like a cool little PvP flashpoint. And it's actually great to just see Blizzard start to use War Mode to do interesting things like this, but of course I really hope it's only the beginning and that they really go further with it. Next, the super quick thing, Blizzard have tweeted that the per server character limit is going to be increased to 18 in order to make way for the Mag'har Orcs and the Dark Iron Dwarves, and then I suppose one assumes will be up to 20 per server when the Xantalari and Kaltirans come in, and that really is a hell of a lot of characters per server, but remember that the overall limit of 50 per account, that's not changed. Next up, Uther. Something really odd's happened. Uther's tomb has quietly been revamped, and it's been revamped revamped quite a lot. Like, the new one looks really fantastic. There's also a new Datamined Uther NPC. So what does any of this mean? Well, honestly, it's kind of hard to tell. Of course, we know that, who got Lightforged in Thursday's video, and we know that Blizzard are playing around with the light quite a bit, so you'd wonder what they're up to. Could Uther be a part of that? Now, the Uther model does look like it's alive, but that's just how it shows up in Model Viewer. Most, like, human ghosts appear as fully, like, alive characters in the Model Viewer, and it seems like the ghost effect is pretty much something that's applied, like, on top of that. But yeah, I don't know what's going on here, so what do you think Uther could be doing? I'd kind of love to know. And let's round things off with Balance Druids. Balance has felt kind of bland in the beta. Bringing Moon back as a talent was a great step, but thankfully Blizzard have posted a number of changes to the baseline of the spec that seem to be a decent bit more interesting. So, Solar Wrath is now going to give you a 20% chance to generate a Lunar Empowerment, and then Lunar Strike will have a 20% chance to give you a Solar Empowerment. The goal here is that things are going to feel a little bit less predictable, because right now it's extremely predictable. Then Star-Lord has been made baseline, and Solar Empowerment will give your Solar Wrath an AoE component. Now there's quite a few other changes, and Blizzard did say that this doesn't instantly make empowerments the most interesting class mechanic in the game, but they do feel that it will be bringing them a step forward, being more interesting. But anyway, that's pretty much all the big, interesting stuff that has happened this week in Battle for Azeroth news. Of course, we had the crazy stuff appear with Amazon, and I was planning on covering that in the weekly video, but I mean, that script was like 12 minutes long and took a whole bunch of editing to do, so wasn't really able to fit it in this show. But definitely interesting things are afoot with the game, which is always quite fun to cover. But that is it for me. A tremendous thank you to everyone over on Patreon. Their support is extremely helpful, and over there you can get behind the scenes stuff, you can get the new posters, and just cool things in general, so you can check out the link down in the description. And past that, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.